The following creepypastas that you are about to hear are not real. These are made-up creepypastas that I write myself. This video is a re-narration of We Deleted You Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, and Eteled Origins. They have been re-narrated and tweaked a bit to make them a bit better in terms of quality. And they'll all be read in chronological order. Thank you, and have a good day. I used to work for Nintendo of America while the Wii was being created. It was actually kind of a good job, but there was one guy who worked there that nobody really knew. We didn't know what he was like or what he did on his spare time. All we had were just rumors. His name was Henry, and there were rumors about him being spread around the office, about what he did, where he lived, and how he even got hired in the first place. All of which are most likely not true. To me, he was just some other guy who just wasn't really known by anyone. But sometime during the Wii's production, he started to act strange. He would show up to work late, he glared at some of the employees, and he would hide in the bathroom and wouldn't talk to anybody. I almost felt bad for him. But one Tuesday afternoon, my coworker Mike walked up to me on my break. "Hey Jonathan, what do you think Henry's doing over there?" I've known Mike ever since I started working at Nintendo. I would consider him to be one of my best friends. We would go bowling, grab a bite to eat, and sometimes even play a round of golf. Anyway, I looked over at Henry and he was just pacing, and I could clearly see him mumbling to himself. "Looks like he's talking to himself," I replied. "Seems like he's insane," Mike said jokingly as he sipped his cold can of Coke. Henry continued to pace around talking to himself for about a minute, until he left the office. Me and Mike followed a safe distance away. We saw him grab a Wii, already boxed and ready to ship to retailers, and went into one of the back offices. He was sure to look around to make sure nobody was watching, and proceeded to enter the room, shutting the door behind him. "So, you want to check out what he's doing?" Mike asked. "Maybe later. Besides, our break is almost over," I replied as Mike and I walked away. It has been a good 10 minutes since our break period ended, and I was working. I had a clear view of the office that Henry had entered, and he still hasn't come out. I started to become curious as to what he was up to in there, but I eventually decided to turn back to my computer and continue working. About 30 seconds pass, and a loud scream catches the attention of everybody in the office. I whipped my head to face the door to the room that Henry was in, and all I saw was one of my coworkers standing there, shaking. Everyone got up, left their cubicles, and ran to the room, and when I managed to get a good look into the room, I almost fainted. Henry was laying on the floor, dead. His body was dark, unrecognizable, as if he were electrocuted. The result was an office-wide panic. People were screaming, calling the police. Some even vomited right there on the scene. But 2 days later, everybody who was present when we saw Henry's body were called down to the presentation room. I was still shaken from the whole thing, and didn't really want to think about it anymore, but I just went anyway. When we got there, my boss was standing at the front of the presentation room while we got all settled. "Hello everyone," my boss said. "I'm sure that you are all aware of what happened 2 days ago, and I'm just as shaken as all of you. However, we have gotten security camera footage, and I thought that it would be important for you all to see it. Please note that some of this footage is disturbing." My boss walked over to the projector and brought up the footage and pressed play. The video began with Henry entering the room with the Wii and sat down at the desk. He hooked the Wii up and set it up. It was normal for the most part, other than the fact that he had a bottle of beer and was drinking it throughout the process of setting up the Wii. When Henry got the Wii fully set up, the first thing he did was go to the Me channel, and when it opened, he pressed the button to make a new Me. The Mii's gender was male, and he started it from scratch. He made the Mii bald, with huge eyes and a huge mouth and a small nose. Okay, that right there is the weirdest Mii I've ever seen in my entire life, one employee shouted. We all shushed him and continued watching. And then Henry got to naming the Mii, and then he named it Eteled. Wait. Pause the video! Another employee shouted. My boss paused the video as the employee took a couple seconds to analyze this Mii's name. That's delete spelled backwards, he yelled, and before we knew it, everybody in the room was in a heated debate on whether Henry knew what he was naming this Mii, or if it was just a coincidence because he was drunk. It wasn't long before my boss put a stop to it. Everybody shut the hell up! My boss yelled. He pressed the play button again, and we continued to watch in silence. Henry saved the Mii and put it into the Mii Plaza. Henry simply stared at the screen for a bit and said, I always wanted to be a Mii, he said as he chuckled. Immediately after he said that, my boss paused the video. We are now about to enter the part of the footage that is disturbing. If you feel you are unable to handle the disturbing nature of the following, please leave the room now, my boss explained. And thus, many employees left the presentation room. I counted, and there were only 6 people left. Me, Mike, and 4 other coworkers. So, you staying? I asked Mike. Yeah. I want to see what happened, he replied as my boss pressed play again. In the footage, Henry noticed that the monitor screen started to flicker. He looked down at the plug for the Wii, and it was about halfway into the socket. He bent down to push it back in all the way, and when he did, he got electrocuted and dropped dead. I looked behind me and all of the 4 coworkers in the room winced as Henry got electrocuted in the footage. I didn't even want to look at it. Mike just sat there and watched with a blank expression, as if all emotion had been sucked out of him. I looked back at the footage and got a good look at Henry. His body would sometimes jerk and flinch due to the electricity. But about 6 seconds later, the monitor in which Henry made that Mii on strangely went static. What the hell? I thought to myself. In fact, that was the only thing I could think of at that point of time. But then, the monitor displayed Eteled, the Mii that Henry made. And he started speaking.
I've always wanted to be a Mii,
Eteled said in a distorted, low-pitched voice.
Have you ever wanted to be a Mii?
Nothing happened for about 30 seconds, until a loud scream sound effect was heard, and then the monitor was flashing with creepy images. I couldn't get a good look at what they were, because they were flashing so fast. But there was one image, the final image, which stayed on the monitor for about 3 seconds. It was of the hallway, with hospital beds lined up next to one another. There was nobody laying on the beds though. And then, after that last image, the monitor cut to static. And then the footage cut to static. Everybody was silent. Nobody said a word. I'm very sorry you all had to see that, my boss stuttered as he turned off the projector. You may all leave now, he continued as we got up from our seats and left. But as I was leaving, I realized something. After we went back to work after seeing Henry's body 2 days ago, I looked back and noticed one of my co-workers, Johnny, taking the Wii remotes, and the cable and box out of the room. I assumed that he was just gonna format the Wii system memory, but then rumors started going around the office that Johnny just put everything back in the box, sealed it up, and put it with the others without formatting the Wii system memory. The Wii has already been sent out to retailers, and I should have known that's what Johnny did. Johnny had a reputation around the office for doing some stupid things, but this would leave whoever was unlucky enough to buy the Wii to find out about Eteled. Now, I have no idea what Eteled could do, but I knew that it wouldn't be good. And there was no way I could track the Wii, but I still couldn't accept the fact that whoever bought it would soon find out that it was used by a man who died while using it, or at least find Eteled in the Me channel. So about 2 weeks later, I resigned. While me and Mike still remain friends, there will always be that day that in the middle of a conversation, one of us will bring up Henry, and we would sit there in silence. And I really, really hope that whoever buys that Wii doesn't experience anything that Eteled might do. And if they do, then I pray that it doesn't make a lasting effect on them. Henry was a man that nobody really ever knew. Nobody spoke a word to him and never really acknowledged his existence. Was he a loner or did he have a mental disorder? Nobody knew. But all we could do was speculate. Remember, all we had were rumors. "2006, the year that the 7th generation of game consoles released. Some may think that 2006 was the best year of gaming, but to me, it only exists as a painful memory, one that will just not go away. I got a Nintendo Wii for my 7th birthday on November 28th, 2006, about 9 days after the Wii launched. I still remember the moment when my dad gave me the present, and then I quickly ripped it open. "Wow, a Wii! Thanks, Dad," I said in happiness. After that, my dad had a bit of work to do, and I begged him to help me set it up. And when he was finally done, he helped me set up the Wii in the living room. What surprised me about the Wii is the controller, as it reminded me more of a TV remote. After my dad set it up, he left me the play, and I was going to play Wii Sports, which was the Wii's pack-in game, but something else caught my eye. The Me channel. So I decided to open that up instead. But when I got to the Me channel, there was a single Me there. I clicked on him and found out that the Me's name was Eteled. The name Eteled didn't make any sense to me until I looked closely into the letters and found that it was backwards for delete. I took a good look at Eteled. He was bald, with a big smiling mouth, giant eyes, and a small nose. He started to creep me out a bit, so I decided to delete him. I then decided to make a Me version out of me. So I clicked the button to make a new Me, and I named my new Me Kyle, because that was my name, Kyle. But then when I got back to the plaza area, Eteled was back, with the same creepy look, so I deleted him the first chance I got. I was still kinda creeped out, but I just decided to forget about it and just play some Wii Sports. I liked Wii Sports. It was a compilation of 5 sports, and these 5 sports were tennis, baseball, bowling, golf, and boxing. I decided to play bowling since it was my favorite sport. My Mii was in a bowling alley with many other Miis, and occasionally I'd see the Mii in the lane next to mine do their throw. But about halfway through the game, I saw a Mii, a bald Mii to be more specific, walk up to the lane next to mine. He threw the ball and got a strike. The Mii then turned around to celebrate. But then I saw the Mii's face. It looked exactly like Eteled's face. I thought I deleted him. Guess I'll just have to delete him again. So I quit Wii Sports and went back to the Mii channel. But before I could delete Eteled, something weird happened. Eteled actually started speaking. His voice was incredibly low-pitched and distorted.
Why are you trying to delete me?
After Eteled said this, I spoke out. What do you mean? I asked in fright. What was I thinking when I said that? Of course Eteled wouldn't hear me, but to my surprise, he did.
Are you kidding me? You know what I mean.
Eteled said with annoyance. I just don't want you in my Mii channel. You're creepy, and you're just creeping me out. I'm sorry.
Oh really? Miis have feelings too, you know. How would you feel if I deleted you?
Eteled yelled. The screen then cut to static for about 5 seconds until it cut back to the Mii channel with a close-up of Eteled's face. Eteled's pupils were huge, and he had a very angry expression. And as every second passed, Eteled's expression became angrier and angrier. I pressed the home button and ran to my dad. He was on the phone, so I waited for him to finish. Dad, there's something wrong with my Wii, I said in a scared voice. I led my dad to the living room and turned off the home menu, and surprisingly, it looked normal. What? He was right there, Dad! He was right there! I yelled with confidence. Kyle, maybe you're just playing a bit too much. I think you should go take a break. My dad recommended. So I did. I opened up the home menu again and took a 15-minute break. But as I left the living room, I could have sworn that I heard my dad say to himself, "Oh God." But after 15 minutes, I came back to the Wii and turned off the home menu. And an animation played of my Mii being deleted. And then a dialogue box appeared saying, "Goodbye, Kyle." And then the Mii channel automatically turned off and went back to the Wii menu. I tried to get back into the Mii channel, but every time I did, a dialogue box would appear saying, "We deleted you," and it would take me back to the Wii menu. I soon realized that Eteled had somehow deleted me in a way so that I couldn't make any more Miis. So that meant, no matter what game I played, I always had to play as Eteled. December 5th, 2006. I was sitting in my bedroom. I was bored, and yet still in shock after what happened a week ago with Eteled. Christmas was coming, and I was tired of playing as Eteled in all the games I played. I actually managed to find out about the guest players, but whenever I tried to play as them, they would just reload as Eteled. I tried asking my dad for a new Wii so I can start over, but he doesn't acknowledge Eteled's existence, and doesn't believe me about the whole fiasco. But anyway, I heard the doorbell ring. I ran to the window and saw my best friend Nathan waiting outside the door. I ran to the door and let him in. "Hey Kyle," he said happily. "Hey," I replied. We talked for a bit as we went upstairs, and just as I thought, he found the Wii. "Whoa, dude, you have a Wii?" Nathan said with excitement. "Why didn't you tell me?" he continued. "Well, Nathan, you see, before I could finish, Nathan grabbed a Wii remote and said, 'It's fine, dude. Let's play,' as he gave me a Wii remote. I reluctantly turned the Wii on, and I took a glance at Nathan's face, and he was clearly very excited. The Wii menu came on screen, and I became nervous when Nathan pointed the Wii remote to the Me channel. "Hey Kyle, is that the Me channel? I heard it's really cool," Nathan asked. Yeah, it's really cool," I stuttered. Nathan clicked on the Me channel, and I tried my best to think up of an excuse to not go on the Me channel. But before I could come up with one, Nathan pressed start. And what was weird was that I expected the dialogue box saying "We deleted you" to appear, but to my surprise, it actually led us into the Me channel. But when we got into the Me channel, it was very, very glitchy. Textures were in the wrong places, and the music was very, very low quality. I looked at Nathan, and needless to say, his excitement was replaced by pure confusion. He looked back at me. Kyle? Do you know what's happening here?" he asked. Before I could start explaining, I heard a very loud grinding noise. We turned back to the TV and saw Eteled standing in the middle of the Me channel. My eyes widened in fear. Eteled just stood there for a while though, just staring at us. Eteled looked at me again. Kyle, what's going on here?" he said as I looked back at him. "I have to close the Me channel," I replied. I pointed the Wii remote at the exit button at the top left of the screen, which its textures were all mixed up. Come on, I repeated to myself as I repeatedly clicked on the exit button. But the dialogue box to choose if you wanted to leave wasn't coming up. And at this point, I was starting to panic. So did Nathan. While I was desperately trying to close the Me channel, Eteled started speaking.
"Hello, Kyle."
"Kyle, what's going on?" Nathan asked me frightfully. "Just calm down, sit down, and I'll explain it to you later. Just let me handle it, okay?" Nathan sat down on the couch, and just when he did, Eteled spoke out again.
"Didn't you know that your me is coming to visit?"
"What are you talking about?" I asked.
"The me you created. He should be here at any moment."
Immediately after Eteled said that, my me came. He fell from the top of the screen and landed on the ground of the Me channel, and Eteled disappeared. I was happy to see my me again, but when he got up, I was shocked. He looked extremely pale, and he was covered in blood and stains, and he was wobbling, as if he was struggling to keep his balance. And I could have sworn that I heard my me whisper, "Help me." I backed away from the screen, and Nathan was literally shivering. I made another attempt to close the Me channel, and Eteled appeared.
"Leaving so soon, Kyle? You haven't even got to see your me up close yet."
Eteled said in a sinister tone. The camera then zoomed in onto my me, and when it was fully zoomed in, I saw my me crying as he was struggling to stand. I felt bad for him. But after a couple seconds, Eteled walked on screen with an axe. He walked over to my me and pushed him over. My me fell on the ground and cried even more. Eteled put his foot on my me to restrain him. "You get away from him!" I yelled. Eteled looked at me and said,
I'll get away from him once he's dealt with.
Eteled said as he looked back at my me, who was crying and out of breath from squirming. Eteled raised his axe and swung it at my me's legs, chopping them off. And while there was no blood, I did see red stains in the areas in which Eteled chopped off my me's legs. But I could still tell that my me was still in intense pain, and he was squirming for dear life. Eteled then raised his axe again and paused for a moment. I looked back at Nathan, and I will never forget the fear I saw on his face. Every inch of fear was visible on Nathan's face. I never saw him so horrified. I eventually told him to go to my room so that he wouldn't have to see anything that would happen next. He nodded his head and ran to my bedroom and shut the door. I turned back to the TV, and Eteled swung the axe at my me's neck, decapitating him. And there was still no blood. However, I still did see red stains on my me's neck and head. I was done at this point. I ran to the Wii and repeatedly pressed the power button, but it didn't work. I tried again and again and again, until I saw the screen go to static. But as time went by, I saw my me's decapitated head slowly fade into the screen. Immediately, I went back to trying to shut off the Wii. But I still couldn't shut off the Wii by using the power button. So, I unplugged the Wii. I took the Wii remotes, and cords and ran to my room. I swung the door open and threw the Wii into the closet. I looked at Nathan, who was sitting on my bed and still in shock after everything that has happened today. Is it over? Nathan asked quietly. Yeah, it's over, I replied while breathing heavily. I think you should go home, Nathan, I continued. Alright. See you later, Nathan replied as he left the room. After Nathan left, I went back to the living room to see the static is still on the TV. But after a couple seconds, the static was replaced with a black background with white text saying, "This is not over." And then the TV turned off. The year is 2013. I've just turned 14, and I'm enjoying playing the Wii U that I got for my birthday. But whenever I hear the word Wii, I think of that me that traumatized my childhood all those years ago. I got a Wii in 2010 with some allowance money, and luckily that me didn't appear on it. I had fun with that Wii, but whenever I picked up the Wii remote, I felt scared. Scared that the me would appear once again. You know which one I'm talking about. Eteled. One day, while in bed watching Netflix on my Wii U, I remembered that message on the TV screen back in December of 2006. I remember that day vividly. The message was, "This is not over." But it's been 7 years and nothing's happened. As the movie I was watching ended, I asked myself a question that I was surprised I didn't ask myself sooner. Is Eteled sentient? No, he can't be. He's just some stupid AI. But what sick being would program an AI to do what Eteled has done? I turned my head to face my closet, with the old Wii still in there. I never touched it again after what happened all those years ago, so I just sort of left it there. I wanted to know if Eteled was some virus that somehow got into the Wii. I do have a bit of technical knowledge, and I thought I could put the Wii's SD card into my laptop to access the system files. I slowly walked to the closet and carefully picked up the Wii. I took out the SD card and brought out my laptop. I plugged in my USB SD card reader and then put my SD card into it. Here it goes, I whispered as I took a deep breath. After I inserted it, I opened the File Explorer and clicked on the SD card and gained access to the Wii system files. There were files like game data, system memory, and lots more. I clicked on system memory, and one result came up, and it read, Eteled me channel.wad. I really didn't think that I'd be able to find something related to Eteled so quickly. I was kind of hesitant to click on it at first. However, I just remembered that I had a part-time job working for my local grocery store. So if anything happened, I can just save up and buy a new one. I clicked on the file, and the screen went black. It was black for about 10 seconds, and then I was greeted to a simulated Wii menu. It was really messed up though. It was dark and all the music was low quality. And I'd occasionally hear loud screeching noises, and the icons on the Wii menu would occasionally cut to static for about a split second. The hand icon though, which I controlled using my mouse, was just Eteled's face. I just stared at the screen for a while. I wanted to leave, but I also wanted to find out the mystery of this me that traumatized me as a child. So I continued. I clicked on the Me channel and pressed start, and I was taken to the Me channel. It was just a black screen with all of the icons on the side, but nothing else. Eteled then appeared on screen.
Oh, you came back.
Yeah, I did, I said.
I always thought that you would eventually come back.
Eteled replied.
Delete me.
What? Why? I questioned.
I need to show you something.
Eteled replied. Okay, I said with confusion. I picked up Eteled and dragged him to the delete icon. I was given the choice to delete Eteled, and I breathed heavily as I chose to delete him. I was taken back to my desktop. I was confused, but then I noticed something was added to my desktop. A file named deleted.mp4. I was nervous. I didn't want to click it, but if I was gonna find this me's origin, I had to continue. I clicked the file, and a video opened. It was static for a while, but then it cut to a hallway with hospital beds lined up next to one another. Each bed had a me laying down on it, hooked up to life support machines. And you can clearly hear the beeping sounds of the machines. But most disturbingly, you can hear the moans and cries of the me's laying on the beds. The camera moved through the hallway slowly, and it stopped and turned to one of the beds. A pale me was laying down on it. Then after a while, the me flatlined. The strange thing is that the me's in this video can make different expressions, like being sad or angry. There were also me's who were making expressions that weren't even possible for a me to make. I saw some that were full-blown crying. The screen then cut to static for a while. A long while, actually. The static was on screen for about a minute. Then the screen then cut to Eteled, laying in one of the beds, with life support machines hooked up all over him. I was shocked when I saw this, because Eteled wasn't making his normal creepy expression, but instead he was making a very sad expression, although his eyes and mouth remained the same size as before. But then Eteled looked at the camera, and then spoke out.
Do you see? Do you now see why I don't want to be deleted? I'm trying to warn you, whenever a me gets deleted, they get sent here, where they are doomed because their ignorant creators deleted them. These life support machines are only here to keep us alive for the remaining time we have. And when they get taken off, we die. However, I am the only me who knows how to recover. I am the only me who knows how to get back to the me channel after being deleted. But I don't know how to stop the pain. So learn your lesson, or I'll make you learn.
After Eteled was done speaking, he ripped off the tubes and wires off him that were connecting him to the life support machines, and got out of his bed. And then he disappeared. The video file was then automatically closed, and I was taken back to my desktop. I was frozen, to say the least. My brain was trying to comprehend what just happened. What was this hallway? And what was Eteled trying to teach me? But I eventually pieced together what was going on in this video. It took me a while, but I believe I found an answer. You see, a me being deleted is basically the equivalent of being diagnosed with a terminal cancer or incurable sickness. So, they are sent to the hallway where they are hooked up to the life support machines to live out the remaining time they have left. And at the end, they get taken off of life support and they die. It is a painful death, but Eteled is the only me in existence who knows how to recover from the sickness and get back to the me channel. But he doesn't know how to stop the pain. That's what he was trying to teach me. He wasn't trying to be scary, but instead trying to teach me a lesson. It's just that violence and aggression is the only way he knows how to do it. In the end, I never found out Eteled's origins. I never knew how he was made or what his motives were. But I think it's best that I never do. Hey there guys, it is I, Icy Pie, and I just want to say thank you guys for watching Wii Deleted You Remastered. I sort of made this video as like a 1-year anniversary video, cause like, Wii Deleted You, like the first part, like of the first trilogy, has been released 1 year ago today, August 8th, 2017. And just saying, by the way, like, Wii Deleted You as a brand has done remarkably well. And guess what? Guess what? It was originally meant to be just a 1-part creepypasta. So just like, Wii Deleted You Part 1 and that was it. No Part 2, no Part 3, no Eteled Origins, no Sam Story, no nothing. But then you guys started asking for Part 2, then I made Part 2, then Part 3, then I made Part 3, and then I made Eteled Origins. And then I thought, okay, that's gonna be all for the Wii Deleted You series. It's over. There's like a resolution here. But no, I made Sam's Story. Now, if you guys didn't know already, the original idea for Sam's Story actually came from my mother and not myself. Well, she actually came up with the base idea of like Sam being a girl and her being a tomboy, and she gets bullied at school by Will and all those people. And that was it. Like, but everything else, like the inclusion of Kyle, like, and the numerous references to shock therapy, those were all added in by me. Isn't that just family friendly? Oh, and I'm also just gonna mention that my mom also came up with the term Sam the Psychopath. So yeah, that's fun. But seriously though, thank you guys so much for watching the Wii Deleted You series. I personally cannot even thank you guys enough. Like without Wii Deleted You and any of you guys, I would not be here like making this video today. And while I'm ending Wii Deleted You, at least ones in like the main series, like I still have like I of course still have the upcoming spin-off about the Corrupted Me coming soon. It doesn't mean I'm not gonna quit on making Eteled related content. I have a little comedy series that I've been thinking about called Conversations with Eteled. It's basically gonna be like sort of like a sketch comedy thing. I'm not gonna reveal too many details now, but I'll see if I can get a video out of that, and I'll see how you guys like it. Other than that, I don't really know what else to say other than thank you guys so much for getting me to where I am today and subscribing and watching all my videos. I am very, very, very grateful for all of you guys, and just thank you all so much. So, with that being said, thank you for watching this video, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to Icy Pie, which is me, and I'll see you all in the next video. See ya!